Headlines coming out of the fashion world. Lululemon is publicly slamming its own founder, calling Chip Wilson misguided as he pushes to revive the brand and install his own directors, arguing his vision is outdated even as the stock is down 40% this year. Wilson accused the company of losing its appeal and criticized management decisions, including DEI efforts.